Okay, time for video number 3, decoupage day. This is like the funnest of this whole project. I think I'm gonna be decoupaging a lot of stuff here in the near future. I love it. I've already done the front. I'm gonna show you that here in a minute. But I wanted to try it first to make sure that, that the decoupage would set or adhere to the Crackle medium that I already had on here. I was afraid that when I put the decoupage glue on, that it would kind of melt the Crackle. Because most people crackle around the decoupage or they crackle over decoupage. Not very often do they put decoupage on top of Crackle. So here's what I did first. Okay, I just slightly went over it with a little bit of sandpaper. I'm not taking any paint off, I'm just kind of getting any bumps. It doesn't really change the look of it. Light sandpaper, I think that was a 220. And I'm just making sure that I don't have any like bumps from the Crackle paint that would be bumped up, and then I'm dusting it off. Very good. Just making sure, because if I have any like big bump crackles, that would actually bubble the decoupage. My sun just went down. Okay, so I'm using Modge Podge in matte. I found after doing the front, this type of paintbrush works best. It's good for taking out the bubbles. Saran wrap, in case I have bubbles, I can push the bubbles out with the saran wrap. And my napkins. Now I cut out my flowers. Since the paint is basically the same color as the napkin, I just cut close to the flowers. I didn't get exact. But I cut out the flowers out of the napkin. I did not separate the layers of napkin. Now this napkin, most napkins are 3-ply, there's 3 layers. This one's only 2. So you find a loose corner and a corner where you can pull it apart, and then just peel it apart. Cut them before you peel them apart, because I didn't use fancy decoupage scissors. I just used little tiny kids' school scissors. The small one, so I can get in and out between the leaves. Peel it apart very gently. There you go. So now this is very thin. Okay, take my decoupage glue and I want this to go right in the center. I want it to go about right there. I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, so I want this flower to go right in the center. So I'm kind of eyeballing where I want it. About right there. And I'm gonna take my decoupage glue. Just to get things started, I'm gonna put all the glue behind it. Thin layer of glue, not too thick, because I don't want it to get too goopy underneath. Just a thin layer. And lay it on there where you want it. Pushing the bubbles out as you go. Any more glue? I like to start from the bottom up, and then I can just push the bubbles out as I go. And that look pretty? And then this helps get the air bubbles out. Put some decoupage glue on your brush and work from the middle out, pushing out any air bubbles that could be in there. And like right there, I have a tiny air bubble. I can use my saran wrap. Just a tiny little piece of saran wrap. Put it on my finger and push the bubble out. If you use your bare finger, you might tear the napkin if it's too thin. And then if you find another spot, find a clean part of the saran wrap and push your bubbles out. Okay, and then continue to put decoupage on the outside. Pushing out away from the edges, because you want to, if you go backwards, you might catch it and peel it back up. So brush out. Making sure to get all of your edges for sure, so it doesn't peel off. And a bubble. Okay, now zoom out a little bit so you can see what I'm going to do next. I'm going to put one right here. Okay, once again, the key is not to overwork too. If you overbrush, you're actually going to tear your napkin. So get it spread out, get it coated, get your bubbles out, and then leave it alone. So that's what we got so far. Now for this corner. Okay, there we go. See, you can't even see where the napkin is and where the paint stops. See, you can't see at all. That napkin blends completely in. So I didn't have to be very precise. I didn't have to tear the edges of the napkin. I just cut as close as I could to the napkin, but not necessarily perfect. And that border just disappears right in with the paint. Okay, there it is. Okay, now I'm going to show you the front, how the front turned out. Okay, so that is how the front turned out. I'm so happy with this. It really made a difference. I mean, just having that white top section, it just didn't pop. And so I got the decoupage done and I love it. Those colors are perfect. The crackle as the backdrop actually looks natural now. And that was just napkins. with the distressed drawers and knobs. I'm so happy with how this piece turned out. Okay, so the only thing that I have left to do is I'm going to spray down the area that I had decoupaged. I'm going to spray that area down with the Modge Podge matte clear acrylic sealer. Very similar to my Krylon that I use all the time, but I'm actually using this just on this area that I decoupaged. And then I'm gonna use my regular Krylon acrylic sealer, the UV resistant. I'm gonna spray the rest of this cabinet down with that, but I'm gonna take it outside to do that because it smells and it's gonna be blowing all over. And that's it, that's all I had to do. I love how this dresser turned out. I'm gonna insert the before picture and the after picture. Now this does not look like a $7.50 dresser anymore because that's all I spent for it, $7.50 at a church yard sale. And I am so thrilled. This is just a napkin. And I just cut out the flowers, separated the layers, put on the decoupage glue, set the napkin on the decoupage glue, used plastic wrap to push the bubbles out if I needed to, put another coat of Modge Podge on top and let it dry, and then I'm gonna spray it with this, and that's it. So, okay, well there is another furniture redo for you, a three-parter. Part one, if you haven't seen it, is where I chalk painted it. Part two, if you haven't seen it, is where I crackle painted it. And now part three, decoupage. Okay, well this is Amy of Fashion Toppings. Until next time, you have a great day.